All right, and welcome to episode 12 of my What is Hitman Roulette series. Today we're going to be talking about the Isle of Sgail. In a lot of people's minds in the community, I think Isle of Sgail rivals Bangkok in terms of the difficulty of this map, considering there are only two targets. A lot of it has to do with traversal of the map. There are many areas in this map that look pretty much identical to one another. So things can be a little bit of a doozy when learning how to get your way around the map. I still get lost in this map on a regular basis, but that is also a lot to do with my own fault. I'm not the biggest fan of Sgail. I enjoy it to some extent. It can be pretty fun for a lot of roulette spins, depending on what the spin happens to be. Some of them are pretty boring, but for the most part, Sgail is a pretty middle-of-the-road map for me. It's definitely not a bad map, but it's definitely not something I pop in and play on a regular basis just because I feel like playing some Hitman. I just don't really enjoy the map enough to want to learn the layout better than I already do. Don't get me wrong, I understand the layout of Sgail pretty damn well, but there are a lot of things about this map that I just keep getting turned around in. Like, if you want me to get the chef disguise or the event staff disguise, you're gonna have to friggin' give me a minute because I need to get my bearings to figure out where the hell I am sometimes, just to find out where those disguises happen to be. But we'll talk about those a little bit later. Sgail is a pretty intense map. It's definitely one of the harder maps in the game, especially as far as two-target maps go. Next to Bangkok, I'd say it's the hardest two-target map in the game for sure. But with that comes with it an aspect of excitement, because learning how to do difficult things is always fun in a game like Hitman. So, here we go, let's dive into a few things like these starting locations, and then we'll carry on from there. The starting locations of this map are phenomenal. Every starting location in this map is viable no matter what. Some starting locations are outright recommended if certain spins happen. For example, if you see chef in a spin, you'll probably want to start as a chef just to make things easier for you, because the chef disguise is pretty far out of the way, especially in terms of where the targets are. Same thing kind of applies to event staff. The most convenient event staff disguise that you would get is also quite far away. We'll discuss that later as well, but again, if that pops up in a spin, I would say start event staff just to make things easy. But the other starting locations are phenomenal for other reasons, just because of the fact that they are very good for isolating targets. For example, Architect is fantastic for getting Sophia isolated super quick. Arc Member, you can get a double isolation within the first 2.5 minutes of the map. Custodian, you can get some pretty damn cool strats happening with Sophia and a Jebediah block lure right off the bat. There are very cool aspects to each starting location in the map, and I recommend you play around with all of them and just familiarize yourself, because this map does have some pretty cool elements. Moving on to the target isolations, we'll start off with Zoe here. The first isolation with Zoe is probably the most common one we're going to use, the Master of Ceremonies isolation. For this lure to work, all you need to do is get up to the chapel and get into the Master of Ceremonies room. In the room with him, there's going to be a guard and a custodian. As soon as you get into this room, you're going to need to trank the custodian in the back there. From here, you're going to KO the guard and then the Master of Ceremonies in that order so that you don't get ripped here. And then proceed to dump the two bodies that you KO'd into the box. Leave the custodian there because if his body is seen, you're not going to get ripped. He's tranked, so everything's all good. And he does make the Zoe lure a bit easier once she runs into the room and sees the body. So he's definitely worth leaving there for now. Once the Master of Ceremonies and the guard are stashed, then just jump into the Master of Ceremonies disguise and walk through the door where you see the two guards standing behind it. Enter this room here. If the guard greets you, you know that you've done the strat right, and then he's going to trigger a conversation with Zoe. She's then going to head into your direction, and it's just a waiting game at that point. But once she gets into the room with you, she's going to bring with her an elite guard. KO the elite guard, and then KO Zoe, and you can do whatever you want to her here. You can even do electrocution kills in this room. You can do explosion accident kills in this room, as there is a propane tank right around the corner of one of the boxes. Loud ballistics are great in here because there's multiple boxes to stash Zoe in, and the elite guard that's hanging out with her the entire time is a perfect disguise to use to get the hell out of here and exit via choppers. So really, this isolation for Zoe is fantastic, especially if you plan on doing Zoe last. The next Zoe isolation that's worth knowing is getting her sick right by the museum area. I'd suggest for this, if you really want to, start Arc Member and then knock out this guard in this area here by luring him into the bathroom. This bathroom is just to the side of the museum once you get past the doorway. Knock out the guard, throw him in the box, change disguises, and then run up to Zoe and drop an emetic device down beside her and then get her sick. She's going to go into this bathroom here, and with her, the elite guard is going to follow. Make sure to KO the elite guard once they're both inside, and then KO Zoe. Dump the elite guard into the box, drag Zoe's body right beside the box herself so that she isn't seen by any NPCs outside of the room, and get out of here. That's all there is to it for the Zoe isolations. Both of them are pretty damn good. I'd say Master of Ceremonies isolation is probably more commonly used, but this is definitely a handy one to know in case something else cool comes up in the spin. For Sophia, the most common isolation for her that you can use is upstairs in the Architect Lounge. She's going to be walking past an alarm clock at around the 2 minute to 2 minute 5 second mark. This is a very tight timing for some starting locations, like Arc Member, for example. If you're going to isolate Zoe and then go straight up to Sophia and try to isolate her, the timing can be a bit tight, so this double isolation does take some practice. But once you get up the stairs here and you enter this room with the letter opener sitting on the table here, there's an alarm clock right to your side, and you're going to stand by that alarm clock, and you're going to trigger it right as she's approaching the alarm clock on your screen if you're spamming Instinct. This is a bit of a tricky lure. The timing is super tight because if you're too early, you're going to lure one of the other female NPCs that are the architects in the other room, and if you're too late, you're going to lure her elite guard into the room. So it's quite tight. It does require some practice, and I recommend spending some time on this one. But once you nail it, you'll have it forever, and it's a top-tier isolation. The second and last Sophia isolation is super easy. You start Architect, and as soon as you start, she'll be right behind you, so then just run directly behind this curtain here, and you can seeker her. You can actually seeker her through the curtain once it stops flailing around once you move past it, and you don't have to worry about ripping by any of the NPCs there, seeing you shoot her, just because you're actually shooting through the curtain and the dart just goes through the curtain. It's a pretty cool strat. Otherwise, you do have to be fairly tricky with the shot. Once she's sick, she's going to go into the bathroom up here. You just follow her and just KO her in the bathroom. She does have an elite guard that's going to be standing outside the bathroom waiting for her, but he doesn't ever come in to check on her unless any noise is made, or if you make a sync run or anything like that. So just be careful, be aware of him, and you can leave her here pretty much indefinitely. This is also a fantastic isolation if you want to do an early live kill. Both isolations for both targets are pretty damn good, and you will be utilizing each of them in different spins. Alright, and getting into the good shit here, let's do the disguises. Starting things off, we're going to have the highest member of the Arc Society, the Architect. This disguise is fantastic as you have pretty much free roam of the majority of the map. There are still some areas that you're not allowed to be in, but for the most part, since these guys are the highest rank you can achieve, they have free traversal pretty much everywhere. Everywhere that counts anyways. How to acquire the disguise is once you get into the room where you would isolate Sophia with the alarm clock there, you go out the doors on the left side of the room instead of the right, and you go into this room to your right. This room, you can easily peekaboo the male architect that's on the walkway here, and grab him with a corner subdue when he comes over to you. You don't need to worry about ripping here. No other NPCs see you do this. And once you grab him, you can stash him in the box, take his disguise, and GTF all the fuck out of there. The Arc Member is the second highest rank in the Arc Society, and he's quite easy to acquire. All you need to do is head down to where the Master of Ceremonies would put on the show with the fire pit. Right behind this big curtain here, you can do a throw distraction, but first you should probably distract the Initiate outside of the room with a bullet distraction. Get him out of the way just in case, as this throwing distraction, depending on where you throw it, can actually lure in the Initiate instead of the Arc Member. So just distract the Initiate first, and then lure the Arc Member over with a throw distraction here, KO him, dump him in the box, and get the hell out. Blake Nathaniel is a unique disguise on the map, and he has been known to be quite tricky for people, but with this following method, he's a total cinch. All you need to do is start Architect and head into the bathroom here, where you would isolate Sophia in one of the strats I showed you. And you're going to need a micro distraction device for this, whatever that may be. I usually use the mixtape for something like this, but because of how snug you need to place this device for the strat to work, you really should bring the micro with you. Bring a micro device with you and plant it in the farthest, most snug away spot you can in the corner of the bathroom here, right in front of this line, exactly as I placed it here. Trigger it, and Blake Nathaniel should hear it and head on upstairs to check it out. If him and the guard downstairs heard it, then you did it wrong, and you need to place it a little further away. Blake Nathaniel's going to slowly make his way up. You can KO him in here, dump him in the box, and get the hell out. Much easier disguise to obtain than a lot of people think. The burial robes are probably the trickiest disguise to get on the map, and they're absolute garbage as it's a hostile disguise throughout every area on the entire map. And there are quite a few methods to get the burial robes, but the hardest method I would say here, without any resources, is get down these stairs here at the bottom of the keep in the morgue. I would highly recommend knocking out an elite elite guard, grabbing their disguise, and heading your way downstairs before you do anything else. Once you get down the stairs, you're going to be greeted by 3 raiders and 1 random chick that's going to be preparing Janus for the burial ceremony. You're going to head into the side room here, and you're going to cause a distraction by hitting the generator here, and then you're going to go off to the side and hit this fuse panel on the other side of the room. That's going to cause 2 of the raider guys to come over and investigate. Then you just KO both of them as soon as you can. And remember to leave the generator running so that the other raider comes in and investigates the generator, but you want to turn off the fuse box after you've activated that one. That way you're not luring everybody over to both distractions all at once. Once the 3rd raider is KO'd in that room, you're going to need to bring the raider that's KO'd by the generator over to the raider that's KO'd by the fuse box, and then wait for the 3rd raider to come over to the generator and investigate. At that point, you can knock him out, leave him there, turn off the generator, and then go knock out the girl. Change into the burial robes as soon as she's KO'd, and you're good to go. Of course, this is the hardest method to do this. There are much easier ways to get this disguise. Like if you have a snail or a trank or both, this is an absolute breeze of a disguise to get, but I'm showcasing the hardest strat just to show that it's not that hard to do with as few resources as you can possibly have. The butler is another quite tricky disguise to get, as he's behind a locked door in the keep, but if you require an elite guard disguise first, and then head over to this side of the keep and jump down this little ledge here, then shimmy across, you can jump through this window here, and if you have a trank, just KO both the guys, trank one and KO the other, or you can use a snail to knock them both out, which is my favorite method, because you can just knock these 2 guys out here and leave them there. The only other NPC that comes into this room is the Constant. However, since you rely on an exit point that the Constant actually controls to some extent, which is the chopper, I don't recommend freaking the Constant out with anything. So once you KO both these guys and switch into the butler, I would say hide both the bodies behind the couch here, as I've displayed on the screen, just to make sure their bodies aren't discovered, because if the Constant does freak out, then you will lose the chopper exit point, and that's completely inconvenient because it's definitely the most commonly used exit point in this map. Losing this exit point adds on some precious time and difficulty that you just don't need in a map that's already tricky to begin with. The castle staff is honestly one of the better disguises on the map, as you have pretty much free traversal throughout the entire castle, more or less. And the easiest disguise I can recommend is if you start Architect and you head over to this room here, you can do a pretty tricky but not that difficult once you figure it out, throw distraction in this very specific spot here that I'm showing, and one of the castle staff guys will come and investigate the distraction. If you throw too close to the door, an elite guard will check it out. If you throw too far away, nobody's going to hear the distraction, so it does actually have to be quite specific for this throw to work. Now, there is a fuse box outside of the Architect bar area that you can trigger and have a castle staff come out to investigate for a free disguise swap there, but it takes a little bit extra time and it's more inconvenient than anything, so I would say go for this disguise just because it's faster and there's actually a box inside here you can store the body in after the fact. Now, the chef disguise can be a bit tricky just because traversing this map is, one of the hardest things about the map, like I said earlier. And if you don't know how to get the chef disguise, but it pops up in a spin, the easiest thing I can recommend is just start as the chef, obviously. But if the spin actually happens to have suit in the spin as well as chef, then you're kind of screwed. You have to get the chef other ways. The best way to do it is get into the kitchen, which is located directly under Janus's burial ceremony site. You're going to head down these little stairs here. You're going to pass the event staff people on your right, and you're going to go through this door. There's the kitchen you're in now. Get into the cooler area here where I'm showing on the screen. Throw a distraction in the cooler here, and a chef will come and investigate. Knock out the chef in here and dump their body in a freezer, and you're good to go. The custodian is a great disguise to start in if you're able to. But if you can't, then the best custodian disguise I would recommend is in the Master of Ceremonies spot. I already explained how to get Zoe into the Master of Ceremonies room earlier in the video, so the custodian that you would trank in here is the one that you want to grab for this disguise swap. Very simple disguise swap. This is definitely the easiest one. I would recommend this one 9 times out of 10 for sure. So once the room is cleared out and the bodies are stashed in the boxes, you can just swap disguises and away you go. The Elite Guard is one of the best disguises on the map, and arguably one of the best disguises in the entire game, as you have free traversal of the entire Isle of Sgail in this disguise. You obviously have multiple options because it's a guard disguise, but the easy pickings ones I would recommend are when these 2 guards are walking across this area here right by where the chopper exit is, you can KO the elite guard that's closest to you when you're approaching them about when he's aligned with the box that you can stash his body in. If you KO him a little bit further up, then somebody in the next room is going to see the body, so be careful about this one. Dump the body in the box, swap disguises, and away you go. Alternatively, you can also grab disguises from either Zoe or Sophia's elite guards, or you can start Architect run over to this spot here where I demonstrated the castle staff lure earlier, and do a throw distraction right in front of this door. An elite guard is going to hear it, and he's going to come over and investigate. Then you can do a chain lure into the room, KO him in the room, dump his body in the box, swap disguises, and you're good to go there as well. The Entertainer is a pretty lame and bullshit disguise. It's not very fun to wear because you can't actually see a damn thing in this disguise. Everything is totally grayed out because you have a blindfold over you wearing this disguise. So you're better off just hammering on instinct the entire time because everything looks like you're an instinct except nothing is highlighted. So it's shitty for that reason, but it has pretty good traversal throughout the map, so it is beneficial in that sense. It's located in the common area where the purple carpet is, down the walkway and into where you would basically start default. Follow along like I'm doing on screen here, and you'll see this door that's actually locked. You can open it up with a crowbar or by shooting it, and inside there is a free Entertainer disguise just waiting to be taken. Grab the disguise and get the hell out of here. Have fun not being able to see shit. The event staff is kind of complicated because there are many event staff NPCs on the map, but not very many that are inconvenient spots to be taken. So the best one I can recommend is when you're going down below the ceremony spot where you would go to grab the chef disguise, there are 2 event staff NPCs to your right as soon as you get down the stairs and go through the door. Shoot the wall behind the 2 NPCs, the girl will be distracted and go investigate it, and the guy will stick behind. KO him and then KO her, leave both the bodies here, you don't have to worry about them being found. Swap disguises, and you can choose to dump the bodies in the box right here, but it's not necessary because no other NPCs come into this room. The guard disguise is a pretty shitty disguise considering it's a guard outfit. It's actually one of 3 different guard disguises on the map. There are Elite Guard, Raider, and Guard. Guard is easily the shittiest and has the least amount of traversal capability on the map, but at least it's a pretty easy disguise to get as there's basically a free run in the Master of Ceremonies room. When you go to knock out the Custodian and the Master of Ceremonies, just grab the guard that you would knock out in that room as well. He's by far the easiest one to get, I would say. Though there are other options. I displayed an easy guard disguise earlier in the video. When you do the ARC members start double isolation, grab the guard disguise and get Zoe sick, or you can grab the 2 guards that are standing underneath the stairs when you start chapel. It's really all up to you and how you go about doing it. Just make sure that you bring a trank for these ones under the stairs. Other than that, this disguise is pretty much your call. The Initiate disguise is pretty easy. All you need to do is get down to where you would grab the ARC member disguise, as I showcased earlier in the video. There's an Initiate just hanging around the corner here. He's looking for ARC Society tokens. You can cause a throwing distraction right behind this curtain here, in this exact spot. The Initiate will come to investigate it, KO him, swap disguises, dump him in the box, and away you go. No resources necessary. These guys are pretty much the bitches of the ARC Society. It goes Initiate, then ARC Member, then Architect in order of rank. So you can imagine how bad this disguise actually is for getting around in this map, but it's still better than the suit, so whatever. Jebediah Block is a unique disguise, one of the better disguises on the map, and definitely one of the more complicated disguises to get. But a really cool strat that Frody7 showed me, actually, is if you start as Custodian, you head up to the room where you would isolate Sophia with the alarm clock. Take your gun out and aim outside of the window here, and shoot the satellite when Jebediah is standing as close to the satellite as he does in his cycle. Jebediah is going to notice the shot. At that point, you're going to aim at Jebediah's head with your pistol. Make sure the reticle is directly on his face the entire time. He's going to report to a raider to check out the investigation, but in that time, you're still going to be able to get a peekaboo on him. The peekaboo will only work if you're aiming with your pistol at his head, though. You also need to be in a trespassing disguise for this room, so obviously Architect, Blake Nathaniel, Elite Guard, those outfits are not going to work for this strat, but as long as you're in a trespassing disguise, this should work no problem. As soon as the peekaboo bar is full, you're going to crouch down behind the window, wait for him to acknowledge the peekaboo, and as soon as he starts walking into the room, you can just KO him by any means necessary. You can grab the fire extinguisher in here and knock him out that way, whatever you feel. Grab the disguise and dump them in the box right here. Very awesome disguise. You'll have it within the first minute of the map, and what a sick lure. Thank you again to Frody7 for showing me this strat. Knight's armor is located at the very, very top of the keep. Pretty much exactly where you would be talking to Sophia, dressed as Jebediah Block, if you were to carry out the mission story involving her and putting her into the coffin and killing her in that way. There are only 2 Knight's armors in the entire map. They're standing side by side each other, and they're very unique in very interesting ways. So first things first, once you get to the top of the keep, you're going to need to take out the 3 elite guards that are hanging out up here with you. Make sure that you're dressed up as Elite Guard or Jebediah Block for this disguise swap, because this is a hostile area for pretty much every disguise but those two. Once you've KO'd the 3 elite guards up here, either with tranks or waiting for the appropriate times to where you don't get ripped, etc. and so forth, you run up to the knight's armor, you swap disguises, and you're good to go. However, there is a catch with this disguise. You cannot crouch, you cannot climb anything, you cannot vault, etc. and so forth. There's not a lot of maneuverability in this disguise. So, that being said, the fact that it's completely hostile in the entire map, and the fact that you can't move in the damn thing, it means only one thing. Guess what? It's just like the prisoner and the stalker disguises from Marrakesh and Bangkok. This disguise only permits trap kills. You are not allowed to go and do any melee kills with this disguise, because the only way that that would be possible is if you KO'd the entire friggin' map. So, if you're not sure what trap kills are, again, that includes electrocution, fire, explosion accident, explosive weapon, basically anything that you don't have to immediately interact with the target face to face in order for the kill to be completed. The Master of Ceremonies, we've already gone over this guy several times in the video, but I'll explain it one more time. If you just clicked on this timestamp and want to figure out how to get him, you just get into the chapel where the Master of Ceremonies room is, you trank the custodian, you knock out the guard, and then you KO the Master of Ceremonies. Swap disguises with him, and away you go. It's that simple. He is a pretty damn good disguise, especially if you're going to use him for the Zoe lure. You're pretty much going to be getting him almost every single time you do spins in Isle of Sgail. So, before long, you're going to be quite familiar and acquainted with its disguise. And finally, we have the Raider. The Raider is the third guard disguise that we haven't talked about yet. It's not quite as good as the elite guard disguise in this map, but it's definitely a hell of a lot better than the guard disguise, so it can be worth getting depending on the spin. The easiest one I can recommend getting is when you enter this room after traversing through the area where the chopper exit is. There are 2 custodians in this room talking to each other. Just beyond this room, you'll see Cornelia Stuyvesant. She's hanging out, sitting down on a chair. There's a Raider standing by the door here. This room is pretty close to the ARC member start and where you would isolate Zoe in the bathroom here, just for point of reference. All you need to do here is cause a throwing distraction in this room with the door open. The Raider is going to come investigate it since he's the only guard in the area. And I definitely recommend tranking him here, because if you do leave his body here, there is a chance he can be found. So just use a trank, better safe than sorry. Grab the disguise and get the fuck out. Alright, and that does it for the disguises. I really do enjoy learning how to get the disguises in any map. It doesn't matter what it is. Like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of Sgail. It's a middle-of-the-road map for me, like I said. But learning how to get disguises in this map was a blast for me, because there was a couple of them that I wasn't too sure how to get before I started making this video. And now I know them like the back of my dick. So, I'm pretty happy about that. I hope that this video helped you out in that sense as well. But on to my most fun part. In my opinion anyways, the part that I enjoy the most, the demonstration spin. And I already know what the spin is because I'm doing the commentary shit after the fact, so this spin is gonna be fucking sick. Alright, and for the spin we have an extremely interesting one. This is a Chrome X troll spin if I've ever seen one. We have Zoe must be killed with fire dressed in the knight's armor, and Sophia must be killed with the friggin' starfish dressed as the butler. The starfish is, well, it's not that bad to get, but it can be a huge pain in the dick. There's only one starfish on the entire map. It's a hidden melee item that is completely out of the way. You can only get it from one spot by the default location, and you require some MacGyver strats to be able to get it. So it's going to be interesting. I'm really excited for this. I've got a pretty good starfish strat that I invented, but you know, a lot of people have some overcomplicated stuff that I've seen. So, I'm going to show you the way I do it, and hopefully if you like it, you can feel free to use it. I'm opting to start here, obviously at the default location at the harbor. I'm bringing with me a pistol, a couple of calmers, and a micro taser for the fire. Fire does count as a trap kill, so this spin is 100% legal. Holy shit, this is going to be a bit of a long one, because we're going to have a big trek ahead of us. We got to get to the very top of the keep and KO a bunch of dudes. There's going to be a lot of KOing going on in the spin, so let's see how we do. Alright, so first things first, take the pistol out. You're going to shoot right above this guard's head on the other side of the map here. So, he's going to be distracted. There's going to be another guard on the side there that's distracted. You crouch down behind these boats, throw the briefcase here, and that causes a distraction for the other 2 guards walking along here. Now, this wooden plank here, shoot the fucking thing, is where the starfish is located. You need to actually shoot the plank off, and then the starfish is revealed, then you just grab the thing. It can be a total bitch to get that thing. A lot of people like to leg shot one of the guards walking along the side there, and panic the whole area and then shoot the thing and get the starfish that way. That does work, but it can be pretty susceptible to rips just because everybody's so alert. As soon as you pull your gun out, you're already fucking hostile. So I don't like that strat. I've ripped on that one way too many times, and I practice the shit out of it, and I still rip on it on occasion. So whereas the strat I just showcased, I haven't ripped on that one in quite a while. So, anyways, we are heading towards the chapel now, going through the back entrance, and I'm going to climb the ladder just up here. And we're going to traverse the rest of the area. We're going to get up to where Sophia is, because we need to isolate her ass ASAP as possible. So here is where the chopper exit location would be, which we will be taking later. You know, basically, you're going to head off in this area. You're going to head out through this area by crouching down behind these boxes the whole time. You don't have too much to worry about in terms of peekaboo there, so you're good to go. Just keep moving, stay crouched, and you'll be fine. Climb that pole there, get through this window, and look at that. We got the starfish at the very beginning, and we still have more than enough time to get up here and chill for a bit before Sophia reaches the appropriate timestamp. Here she comes. And we got the lure. Turn off the alarm clock just so you don't lure anybody else in here automatically or accidentally. And KO Sophia as soon as she gets in here. And like I said and showed you earlier in the video, we're going to drag her body across the couch here. So this spin is actually one where we're going to be using the most common strats for isolating Zoe and Sophia. It'll be the Master of Ceremonies isolation for Zoe, and for Sophia it's the alarm clock isolation, as you just saw. So now I'm going to do the Architect Peekaboo lure here, because I need a better disguise than my suit, because I'm wearing shit disguise right now. And there we go, we got this bitch, dump him in the box. And the reason I'm grabbing Architect here is because I would prefer Elite Guard, but it doesn't really matter. Either one's fine. I'm going through this door here. Gonna grab this Elite Guard disguise. Well, I'm trying to anyways, but this guy trolls me. There's my second Calmer, by the way. The stash point here is really good. This guy trolls me, doesn't fucking give a shit about the throw distraction, so he's being a bitch. Sometimes they do that. I don't get why it is. I threw it in the exact spot I normally do, and it still fucking decided to troll me, so whatever. We got other options here. There's the other Elite Guards in this section. Just gonna grab this guy here. And right here is the area, the top area, right above the morgue, where you would go grab the burial robes and all that, where Janus is being prepared for the ceremony. So put the Elite Guard's body in there. It'll never be found. You're good to go. And I'm going to shimmy down this area here to get to the butler now. This spin is nuts, I really have to say. I swear to God I did not doctor this one up, but it looks like I did because of how freaking stupid it is. Everything about this spin is completely not what you would see in a regular scale spin, even in tournaments. It's pretty nuts. So you got Fire for Zoe, which is already hard enough as it is. You got Knight's Armor, which is a ridiculous disguise. You got the Starfish, which is the hardest melee item to get on the map. And then you've got the Butler, which is easily one of the harder disguises on the map as well. So it's just a non-stop shit show. Thankfully, the isolations for the targets are easy enough for this spin. So there we go. Caused a bullet distraction that panicked the... not panicked, but it was a bullet impact notice for the Elite Guard there. So he's a little pissed off, so gave me an opportunity to KO him from behind and then grab the Butler and do the same thing. Fortunately, he didn't panic the Butler when he was yelling because he was a little bit too far away, so the Butler didn't give a fuck. So that's great. And remember, definitely hide the bodies behind the couch here because the Constant will for sure enter this room before the spin is over. This is one of the longer spins I've seen in Sgail, just because of the amount of traversal you have to do for this. It's pretty nuts. I mean, getting to the very top of the keep, I mean, that's as far away from everything as it gets. So this map is huge as far as vertically speaking, as far as vertically goes. Vertical? Yeah, as far as the vertical, horizontal, no, horizontal's when you're laying down, vertical's when you're not laying fucking down. There you go. I know maths. Anyway, so there's the kill on Sophia with the Starfish. So now we're heading back to grab the Elite Guard that we KO'd earlier, because we do need an elite guard disguise, because we're going to head upstairs to get the knight's armor in just a little bit here. So I need to get to, I can't remember what the hell I was doing here. I should have probably watched this before I decided to start commentating, but whatever, it's okay. Improv is what I do best, so don't even worry about it. Anyways, we're heading back out to the fucking chopper starting location because we need to get the Master of Ceremonies situation sorted out. Because we're going to lure Zoe over there now. So, heading over to the Master of Ceremonies, we've got our tranks. We're good to go. Do the classic Zoe setup thing that I already showcased earlier in the video. KO the guard here. And then we're going to KO the Master of Ceremonies himself. Perfect. Now, like I said earlier in the vid, the custodian is good to just leave there because he's tranked. And sometimes, doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes Zoe can be a little bitch. She will be running ahead of her guard. Not walking with him, running ahead of him. It's just super incredibly frustrating. And she stops if she sees a body, so that can definitely save us if she happens to troll us. So I just leave that body there all the time. Ever since there was a one-time thing where she was just running too far ahead. No matter what I did, I couldn't stop her. I was trying to stall her as much as I could, but the guard was so far behind that I just couldn't, I couldn't stop her in time. So what I ended up doing was just ripping and said, fuck it, I'm leaving the body there, and it has worked ever since and has never screwed me over. So I'm going to trank this guard here. The other guard is going to freak out and be like, what the hell's going on, buddy boy? And we're going to KO his buddy boy's ass. And that's that for those two guards. Zoe is almost in this room. The reason I KO those two guards is because I'm going to have to drag Zoe's body out around the corner here in a sec. She needs to be lined up with a fire barrel. So, fortunately, I got good RNG here with Zoe. She was walking more or less right beside her guard here. So I didn't even really need to leave that unconscious body there, but I chose to anyways, because why the fuck not? It's better safe than sorry. And there are two more NPCs I need to KO here, 2 ARC members, to ensure that I can get this fire kill properly. So I'm going to trank one of them, and I'm opting to save a trank dart just because I don't need to use it, and if I really, really need it later, I'd rather have it than not have it, and need it. So I'm going to KO this ARC member guy and shoot this fire barrel here. Here's where you're going to drop the taser. And now we're going to bring Zoe's body over and let her sit in the oil. Now, oil is not water. So some people have asked, well, why doesn't the oil being sparked by the taser count as an electrocution kill? Well, because it doesn't conduct electricity the same way water does. Oil is not water. Oil gets lit on fire. So it then in turn lights her on fire. Makes fucking sense, right? Science, bitch. So we're dragging the KO'd ARC member guy in here. We're leaving the trank guy alone because, I want to save a little bit of time. We don't need to move that body anywhere because that body is tranked. And the fire kills are quite loud. She will be screaming her ass off despite being unconscious, and there will be NPCs that will come over to investigate. So if I leave the ARC member body there that is just KO'd, then I will rip, and that's going to be shitty to be me. So just leave the trank guy there, and leave Zoe there. No one comes around. We're good to go. Now, the long part, we're just going to be trekking all the way up to the top of the keep. Here we go. I don't know why I jumped through this window. I actually caused myself a little bit extra time here. Oh no, I remember why. Yeah, gotta grab the key card here. So you don't need to grab the key card from Sophia's, where I knocked her out initially. She dropped the key card and the kill switch for the constant. I grabbed her key card because I'm going to be heading up to these stairs here, and there will be a door that I need to get through, and it requires a key card. Shoot up this camera, and keep heading up these stairs. These stairs, and these stores. So the room, or the door here that requires a key card is not necessarily, you don't need to go through this door. You can just jump out the window and shimmy upstairs. which is just as good, but it can rip you if you're caught on the railing by an elite guard up here. So I just avoided, I didn't want to rip at all during the spin because it's a long bitch. There's a lot of stuff that's going on here, and I want to save as much time as friggin' possible here. So this elite guard is in the perfect spot. If you KO him in this area here, when he's standing put, you don't ever need to worry about his body being found. These two guys, I was deciding whether or not I wanted to trank one of them and then KO the other, but I said fuck it. Waited for the guy to move. He stays away with his back turned for quite some time, so it's not a big deal. He's just looking at the armor, wishing that he was a knight, because inside he's just a little bitch. And there's the knight's armor disguise. We're going to activate the taser. And there's the Zoe kill. Confirmation. Get back into the elite guard disguise. And that's that. Both targets down. No issues at all. Now we're gonna go grab the constant, just because Diana told us to do that. So let's go get the constant. No, I'm just fucking kidding. You don't need to do that unless you're Ducker and it's a tournament match and you're trolling against 47 in an actual exhibition match. Then you do not at all need to get the freaking constant, right? So, by the way, there's the ARC member body being found. So there you go, proof of purchase. If I didn't drag that KO'd ARC member guy out of the way, I would have been ripped just now, but there we go. Green guns, everything's good to go. No need to worry. Avoid the cameras. Man, this map is tall. Holy shit. Not just tall, it's a big-ass map in general. It shares a lot of interesting traits with Miami in that sense. Like, Miami was so friggin' huge. Oh shit, I'm about to get peekabooed by the friggin' elite guards. Funny that you're getting peekabooed in the elite guard outfit, because this disguise is just so good, but it has a few enforcers on the map. But yeah, going up and down railings and shimmying across buildings is illegal in any disguise, so not just elite guard, obviously. But yeah, it shares a lot of things in common with Miami because it's so friggin' huge. It could fit 3 targets easily, but it's got 2. But it's a little nicer for scale. It doesn't. We don't need more than 2 targets. The map is tricky enough as it is. But there we go. Sign Assassin, suit only, JK. 12 minutes 9 seconds, pretty damn long for a scale spin, I gotta say. Usually they're definitely sub 9, sub 8. Most of them could be sub 7. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really love spins like that. So there you go. 5-star Sign Assassin. Couldn't have done it better myself. Oh man, that spin was awesome. Holy shit. I love fire kills. They're just a blast. I mean, yeah, they take some time to set up, but it is what it is. And I'm super happy that I got to demonstrate how to get the starfish, because there's only one starfish on the map, and it's a bitch to get. A lot of players don't know very many good strats about it. A lot of players rely on strats that are a little bit overcomplicating it. So, very cool that I got to demonstrate that. One of the coolest spins I've ever seen in Sgail, especially just from click and generate spin. You don't usually get spins that cool. So, this is a lot of fun. Anyways, I had a blast making this video, as much if not more than making some of the other videos in this series so far. Sgail is a hard bitch. It's definitely worth practicing. If you're not super comfortable with the environment, I suggest you familiarize yourself, because exploration and creativity is what Hitman is all about. So, next time, we're going to be talking about a much more condensed map than Sgail, though. The first DLC map of the trilogy, New York. Our first one-target map. So that's going to be kind of interesting, because it's going to be a bit of a change of pace compared to how we've been doing things so far. So, I'll see you in that video. Until then, keep rocking out and keep gaming.